Howdy howlers, it's Sako Toomey, also known as Cass Voight. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those three things. So if you are looking to market yourself as an author, or you are looking to be a witch or witch, please drop by my channel. I'd love to see you. Today I'm pulling the witch card. I'm going to be reading through Backwoods Witchcraft, Conjure, and Folk Magic from Appalachia by Jake Richards. We're about halfway through the book. A little give or take. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Christina. Hi, Turtle. Katarina. Can I call you that? Is that a thing I can call you? It is a beautiful name. Maybe I should get more coffee. Nice. My memory is not so great first thing in the morning. Katarina or Turtle? Katarina Turtle. Hi, Destiny. Ooh, coffee. Apparently this is a Endless Nights cup for a nightclub, for a discotheque. Hi, Bonnie. Baby coffee. I'm here. I'm working on my nano, about 2K in. That's awesome. I'm working on my nano as well. I'm at 795 so far for the day. Because I was hanging out on Zara's stream. So if you are, I know Destiny probably won't go, but if you are interested in doing sprints and stuff, Zara Hoffman is hosting sprints and chats on her channel for 4 hours. So she will be continuing after I am done with this thing. Also, way to go, Destiny! Yeah! I'm kind of cheating, so I'm technically converting what I've written so far of book 1 of my Anchor series. I'm converting it from first person to third and kind of like tweaking it here and there. Then I'm going to continue the story. So I need to also work on the book that BC and I are writing. So I think I'm going to do 25 and 25. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Oh, the 10K day for the first day. That's a stellar goal. Not doing nano, but still trying to get a lot of writing done. That's awesome. So you're being a nano rebel, and that is allowed. There used to be a badge for that. Yeah. I think there still is. I think there might still be. Oh, excuse me. I am definitely getting another cup of coffee. That is the thing I'm doing. I will be right back. Okay. Tradition since second nano. That's a great tradition to have. Setting up everything to get started around noon. Also, good call. This is my first, and now I've started a little early because my job is nuts right now, but I definitely don't have anywhere near 10,000. Well, 10,000 at once. You guys are a beast. Yeah, I've never made it to 10. I've made it to 7 in a day, which is better than my previous record. I think we're doing a 10K day on the 14th with the relay. So if you are interested in trying, I believe I Got a Blank Page is starting it, and then there will be a playlist with all of the stuff. I have 11 o'clock at night. I just need to make the event. Mostly that's hanging me up is I need to make the thumbnail, and it's... Oh, hello, Chasing Epiphanies. Marco is in full renovation mode, but leaving a like. Oh, yay. Thank you for stopping in. Goal is 60 inside of 50. I'm not going for some kind of crazy number like last year. Yeah. Or April. April was 100K, if I remember correctly. Or was it July? I think it was April. It was recent that you did that. I'm just hoping I have a decent amount of my story written by the end of November. A third, I'll be happy if I'm a third done. Yeah. I would be happy with that too. Destiny, it's not to see others with the higher word count. It's nice to see a higher word count. Mine's between 60 and 65. My books end at about 75K. So it takes me like a couple of events. Yes, Coraline. My best for a day, 13K in a single day. It was my first nano when I was going through to fail. Thought I was going to fail. 13K in a day. It was to turn, yeah. It turned to 115. I have a goal. Oh, you're doing Milwordy then. 1250 a week is actually reasonable, in my opinion. I think I would be a bit like capable of doing that. Oh, I'm supposed to be reading a book. That's the thing. Good job. Yeah. 12,500. Yeah. 12,500. That's what I meant to say. English, I know it. I know it. You like the wallpaper? My grandmother's wallpaper from ages ago. And then the kitchen. Hooray, hooray. Directional rights.
Hey, did you need me to say hi to you? Hmm? Is that what that was all about? You want me to pick you up and pet your head and give you a snuggle and a smooch? Is that what you wanted? Hmm?
Apparently. Yeah.
Go on.
Sometimes kitty cats need love. All right. Being that Appalachia has had a crockpot of culture and tradition brewing for a long time. I'd love to see the top border more close to the top. Oh, it's just peonies. Peonies flowers. Yeah. Peonies. Oh, hi, Spence. Good to see you, honey. I have to about 15K a week if I did the 2K a day thing. Yeah, just about. Or 16K, rather. Or 14K. You know, multiples of 2. I would love to see the dot border more closely. Yeah, they're peonies. A purple one and a pink one. I want snuggles. No fair kitty gets all the snuggles. I know. I miss my husband so hard. All right. Being that Appalachia is at a crockpot of culture and tradition brewing for a long time, it was bound to occur that certain directions gained sway over the daily activities and secret things of the mountaineer's life. In East Tennessee, there's a majority who hold the belief that they descend from the Cherokee. Paired with that belief is the pride placed in the Cherokee's gifts of war, healing, and religion. Cherokee people held a noticeable influence in the making of Appalachian folk magic, as our local lore, tales, and cures show. Many cures shared between the two groups in those times are likely to have been pure magic or pure belief in nature, with no medical theory at their ground. The Cherokee associated the East with good spirits, the sun, and more. They would address the East in their petitions and prayers to these spirits, especially those for removing witchcraft and disease. They would look to the North, the home of the winter, or the Blue Man, when healing burns. The Blue Man was the Cherokee explanation for winter and diseases associated with it. And they would look to the South for the Red Man for aid with frostbite and other winter-related ailments. Finally, the Cherokee recognized the Black Man, or Purple. Oh, Purple Man of the West. Sorry, there were footnotes and I didn't realize. Finally, the Cherokee recognized the Black Man, or the Purple Man of the West, who brought death. The Black Man has many incarnations throughout American folklore, as he is often thought to be the devil or some dealing spirit who waits at the crossroads. The distinction between the two isn't clear, so they may be the same spirit called upon in witchcraft and death spells. Virginia Cherokee in the Appalachia area. So you might be familiar with some of this Cherokee stuff that we might be talking about. The duality, significance, and tales. Oh, no, I skipped a line. The duality, significance, and personality of each direction have been partly preserved in lore and tales, some of which were passed down in families like mine. Today, the formulas that I use from this lore and magic utilize the directions in the same ways. I use the East for healing diseases of the flesh, mending, joining, and charging new things. I use the West to purify and rid of disease altogether, to send away, to hold down, and for calling rain. I use the South for love, things of physicality, healing diseases of the blood, and curing chilblains, inflammation caused by exposure to the cold. Good crops and good fishing. Oh, excuse me. And the North I use for cursing work, keeping things hidden, good root crops, especially those to be sown in the snow, giving disease or unnatural illness, or curing burns or fevers. Unnatural illness, a changed stomach, or madness are all ways to describe this folk phenomenon caused by a curse to kill the afflicted, usually caused by well-known gopher dust, made from powdered grave dirt, spider eggs, and other ugly things laid for the person to walk in. Symptoms were madness, pain, and swelling in the legs to the point of lameness, ending in the affliction, howling like a dog, and finally dying. That is a lot. I would be overworking myself if I were to try that. I'm just now starting to learn about that part of my heritage. It's on my dad's side of the family, and you didn't really talk about it much. Understandable. The Baptist church we grew up in performed baptisms in the river facing east. We spoke previously about graves being oriented a certain way so the dead face east as well. When water witching, some folks start by facing east and then turning counterclockwise. Whichever way the stick first bobs, that's the direction to go in. From the starting place to the area where the stick tips real good, indicating water, you measure that length. That's how far you'll dig to reach the water. Here we see the measuring rights come into play apart from the use of the human body. Some cursing formulas recommend taking lichen or wood from the north face of a tree, usually papa or dogwood. Lichen is often powdered and added to food for the work, while formulas that detail taking wood from the north side of the tree only work by splitting the wood open and inserting something like the person's hair or nails before binding the split back together with string. Through the works of Harry Hyatt, an Anglican minister who collected folklore all over the South and composed it into 5 volumes, it becomes apparent that the west quarter of one's property was almost always used to keep something or someone where it currently is, be it your employment at work, your man's fidelity, or an enemy. My nano is going to be stuck a week behind. I'm spending this week getting the prep work done and then trying to do 60 in 3 weeks. That's 20 a week. That's very ambitious. You're doing it, Spence. That's the important part. Godspeed. Ginny, are you learning about your family heritage? It looks like she's just now starting to learn. Also, if you're not part of the Discord, I think you all are, then here's the Discord link, server link. Yeah, family members. I was seriously considering pulling the plug this year, and I may yet, but I'm quite tired of feeling behind myself. I know that feeling. I am also worried about that. Especially having dropped off of both of my Inktober projects. The directions of up and down also come into play in some ways. When passing a candle over a person, I always move in a downward motion from head to toe. This is done to be rid of something, as the feet are an opening for possible conjure to come in, and they are also the exit by which you can remove it. This is applied also to baths. To dispel something, wash downward from head to toe, and to draw something to you, wash upward from feet to the head. The clock's hands also created directional use in magic. Move clockwise to go with the sun and grow, or move counterclockwise to go against the sun and diminish. Yes, I'm familiar with this. It is, yeah. Wounds are rubbed counterclockwise to undo the harm. Yeah. The Cherokee used this directional method with snakebite to uncoil the serpent, thereby eradicating the poison to effect the cure. I stir my coffee in such a manner. One to counterclockwise to banish, and clockwise to bring good things. I have an uncle that has been researching our family tree and the paths our family has walked faith-wise. It's been an eye-opening experience, to say the least, I bet. Instead of pulling the plug, just lower the word count. Don't worry about the nano word count, but see what you can get done. You might shock yourself even if you don't get the 60K you want. I say do the 25. That way, if you hit 25K, hooray. If you get more than that, double hooray. Like, you can do like little stretch goals, but like, I would like, or maybe 30K, like just half it. Because I feel like jumping to 60K right out of the gate when you're starting late is overworking. I think it's going to be very easy for you to get overwhelmed. Learning about family history is so grounding in ways. Yeah. I've been learning like all the German influences and Pennsylvania Dutch influences and all that stuff in my family. My mother's maiden name is Rothermo, which implies it's literally the red sleeve. And the legend has it that they used to dip their sleeves in the blood of their enemies. It is so interesting, and since I'm a pagan, there's a lot of parallel. Yeah. I'm trying to correlate some of my practice to like Gaulish and Visigoth sort of paths. But Visigoth doesn't mean Gaul. And Gaul is easier to find. Stuff regarding Gaul, I mean. Hi, Heather. How's it going? You should see the rest of this house. It's very Japanese home. So my dad's extremely in touch with his Japanese side. I'm not sure what my minimum go is going to be for each day. I'm going to play it by ear each day and might take my birthday off. That's a good call. I like that tactic. I find that Doing things by scene or by chapter is much more useful to me than word count. I'll write the scene, and then just for frame of reference, I'll see how many words the scene was or the chapter was, which I can do very easily in Scrivener. I think because I've been working in Google Docs with BC, it's just easier just to write. Just write. Don't keep track of it. Just write. And then like kind of assess what I did after the fact. So I don't do it in sprints. I just kind of write when it comes to me. I'll probably assess that sometime today. Hello, Nicole. Good to see you. Ja, ich spreche Deutsch. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, aber ich spreche Deutsch. Yay. Bist du Deutsch? Yeah, my mom's side. Meine Mutter. Which there's like all kinds of like cool stuff like hanging out in the background of my mom's family. I had to set mine. I have my hub's birthday, my daughter's birthday, my hub's sister, my godson, Thanksgiving. So I had to have an idea of what I needed to take to make sure I finished. I ran into the same issue, but I have a couple of days where I just throw down the words. So I have this habit of I check in every day, but the weekends are when I really catch up. Tired from being with family all day yesterday and then attending Tamara Wood's stream last night. Yep. Tamara's masquerade thing was pretty cool, I have to admit. Also, people saying hi, which I appreciate. The fun part. Wir können Deutsch zusammensprechen. Yay! Wir können indeed. Aber ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. But I can try. Yeah, that was fun. Determined to take at least 2 days off this month. 2 days where I just play video games and read. Kind of refill the well. Noah gets to remove me from whatever I'm doing on Tuesday nights, and Sundays are for the kitchen work. Meine Vater Deutsch bei mir sprechen. That's cool. What's the word? Fantastisch. Das ist gut. That's why I got the Vanity Jury finished. So I have something to work on while I think about my story. Or am angry. Oh, I follow. Yeah. A big heckin' thunderstorm is rolling up. The sky is dark blue against what's left of the orange leaves. It's so beautiful. I'm taking down Halloween and putting up fall hygge. Yeah, I got you, Katerina. It's so cozy and wonderful. I'm in Florida and it's warm and sunny. I might take you out for a cigarette. I don't know. Excuse me. Turning rights. Turning rights are a play on directional rights. Mountaineers have used these for generations to undo or prevent things, whether it's bad luck, haints, or disease. It is simple yet effective reversal work, and it is amazing. During a women's labor, all empty vessels are sometimes turned upside down to prevent the baby from being breech. That's weird. An old trick for when you suspect someone's got a candle on you, like they're working roots on you, is to get a small crock or other handleless pot. On Wednesday morning, place it in the sink or bathtub upside down under the faucet and let the water slowly drip into the bottom of the pot until Friday night. That'll pull their candle out. I'm pulling all the stickies off my combo board. I got some stuff done in October. That's really good news. That's really gratifying, isn't it? Yeah. I hear Ohio is like getting stormed. Or not stormed, but, rainy day in Ohio. Oh. Speaking of hygge, yeah. Somehow I'm gonna fly with all this stuff. That's gonna be a thing. Not sure how I'm gonna do it yet, but seriously, yeah. I'm still getting my wits about me. When a black cat crosses your path or you're walking through a graveyard alone, turn your pockets inside out to guard against ill fortune and haints. Some folks turn their hats backwards, as mentioned before, or literally turn around 3 times, either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on the superstition and the location. There's an old superstition that says if you accidentally put your clothes inside out, then you should leave it that way all day, as it's a sign someone is trying to charm you. Others recommend wearing every garment inside out for 9 consecutive days and then taking the clothes to the river to wash them with vinegar to remove any tricks. Turning also applies to wheels and handles. Take any kind of wheel and turn it backward while reciting Psalms 7:13 to 17 for 9 consecutive days to send conjurings back to their sender, reverse your bad luck, and let your enemies catch themselves in the spikes of the wheel. He prepares for himself instruments of death. He makes his arrows into fiery shafts. Behold, the wicked brings forth iniquity. Yes, he conceives trouble and brings forth falsehood. He made a pit and dug it out, and it has fallen into the ditch which he made. His trouble shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down on his crown. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. An owl hooting near the house is said to be a death omen. One old remedy calls for every person of the family to take their shoes and place them under a bed upside down to deter death from visiting the home. To protect against being conjured by any roots you may walk over, take a pocket knife and cut the soles of your shoes. Flip them over and put them in the other shoe. That is, place the upside down left sole into the right shoe and vice versa. When there's a bothersome haint haunting the home, we will take some old horseshoes in red fabric. We then hang them above the door frame, pointing downward. In Appalachia, this is a symbol of the home, to keep luck in, to keep the points turned up, to get rid of evil spirits and put the points down. Oddly enough, the way to guard against conjuration entails the points be turned upward, but the horseshoe be wrapped in silver paper or tin foil. Pants on backwards all day at the office. I didn't know till the day was over. Oh, that's fun. When there's a bothersome pointing downward, tinfoil. Okay. Other formulas describe the turning or flipping of portraits for various reasons. My family will turn the photo of a family member upside down to call them home for any reason. To return a lover, get a photograph of them, a bowl of salt, and a glass of water. Set the water between you and the bowl of salt, and take their photo and turn it upside down and flip it away from you. The photo should be face down with the head toward you. Cover it with salt. Then dip your fingers in the water and sprinkle them over the salt while telling them to think about you, to want you, to yearn to see you. Pray for them to need you as though they were thirsting for water because of all the salt. That is skirting on mind control magic, which I don't subscribe to. I think it's kind of messed up. Backwards shirts, inside out shirts. One of the two. Or both of the two. Yeah, I don't subscribe to mind control spells like love or death. If someone hasn't been so kind to you, take their photo and wrap it face down with a pokeberry root, which is known to be poisonous. Take this bundle and bury it where they'll walk across it. Once the photo fades away, so will their health. Alternatively, wrap a white handkerchief around the framed picture and hang it on the wall by driving a knife through it with the photo facing the wall. If you just want to jinx them a bit, a run of bad luck, basically turn their photo upside down into a bowl of brown rice and leave it in a dry place. This will dry up their luck. Take it out and put it upright again to put their luck back. Quincunx writes, Quincunx is a particular pattern that is abundant in all American folk magic practices. A quincunx consists of 4 points or corners with a central mark. recalling the symbol of the cross and the crossroads. Many folk traditions, American and foreign, the crossroads is a meeting place between worlds, between man and spirits. It's home to black men, to lost souls who wander about, to the dead in general, aka Hecate. The cross symbolizes protection, sacrifice, and revelation. Many things are worked at the crossroads, and likewise, anything left done is left there for the spirits to continue the work. New salt is often used by the workers of Appalachia. One trick is done to give someone bad luck. Make a simple cross or X on the ground where they'll walk over it. X's pair into the same symbolism and are a common symbol used in Appalachian folk magic. To protect children from the evil eye, a red X was embroidered into the left leg of the hem of their underwear. In the Baptist church, the brow is anointed with a cross. And as we've seen, the crossroad symbol is invoked by placing 4 tiles on a crop field, with one more placed in the center. Yeah, which I'm kind of not into. But I'm gonna make it through this book. All about controlling people, and I think that's part of the Christian aspect of it as well. That mentality, when placed with witchcraft, is toxic. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have my number of curses, stuff like that, should it come to it. But that's the thing, should it come to it. Hope for the best, expect the worst, right? I'm going to have to backtrack to get up. Had to get up, missed something. We're talking about the idea of exactly what L.R. Archer said. They seem to like to control or harm others. And I think it's why witches have such a bad rap. I think you're right. Because they only have their own perspective on which they view such things, right? So had they such power, what would they use it for? And I think that's a really messed up way of looking at things. I need to smoke a cigarette. Road trip. I did something to my ACL, and I'm nursing it today. I was nursing it last night too. There's one person I would truly like to curse, but I would like to curse them with a conscience and empathy. That's how my curses work, actually. If that fails, I would bring their circumstances down. Most of my stuff is like, may you realize what you've done, basically. May you face the horrors of what you've done. Oh, I only have one cigarette left in here. I mostly bind so they don't harm themselves or others, or I will basically say, may you realize the horrors of what you've laid, basically. But I've never had to actually do that. Just like I know how to make war water, which is like the nails, the piss, the um, stuff like that in a bottle, and then you smash the bottle on their doorstep. Or you sprinkle the water. You can do either, but I feel like smashing the bottle has more of a statement. I've only had to bind someone once when I was in high school. Granted, I was the bad guy in this situation where my boyfriend at the time was technically dating two people, myself and another woman. And the other woman found out and got really pissed off, understandably so. And she threatened to blow up his car while we were in it. And so I was like, no. No. So I bound her. And I bound her for a good 5 years. And then I bumped into her. I unbound her, and then I bumped into her at the mall long after everything had happened. And she was basically like, I wasn't mad at you. I was mad at him. And I was like, and rightfully so. I was pretty mad too. But my favorite binding is in the jar. I like to do a jar spell. My ember is like being weird. Yeah, so diviners are on my mom's side. She did a little bit of divining, very little, but her grandmother was really, really good at it. So I feel like I come by it honestly, even if I wasn't so honest with it when I was young. In the sense that I technically, my first deck was I stole it from my mom, which was probably why it was such a dark deck. Hi, doll. Good to see you, honey. Glad to see you. We're talking about the kinds of curses that we do regarding controlling people. Appalachian Conjure seems to be really big on controlling people, and I don't like that. The most I do is I kind of like rein them in and make them feel empathy, make them understand what it is that they're doing. So my curses are less cursy and more like think about what you've done. Like, sit in the corner and think about what you've done. Like, I'm more likely to bind someone before I'll actually actively curse them. I know how to fuck their shit up. I just don't want to have to do that. So, one thing that I find kind of interesting about Pennsylvania Dutch culture is they got, so on their barns, they have these pictures, these pictographs, and they look like decoration. They do. But they're actually spells, they're hexes. Um, they basically bless the barn with whatever it is that they wanna bless it with. Each hex means something different. Um, so that's something that I'm kind of curious about. How it would be applicable to my modern life, like maybe like in a locket maybe, or put it on my mirror, like make stickers and stick them on my mirror. Granted, I would probably bless the stickers before I put them on my mirror. And by bless, I mean charge them. And really, by charging, I just sit them on my altar and let it sit in the moonlight for a few days. Usually about a month. When it comes to controlling, I just want to control myself. People, I just build an ice fortress so they can't come close. Yeah. There's a lot to be said for that. Because while you have people that wrong you, maybe your definition of wrong is questioned, because if you're the common factor in all of this conflict, like, there's sometimes we got to look inward, right? That's the shadow work at play, right? So my shrink, for instance, seems to think that I just let people like bowl me over, but I don't, especially in my house, because I am the lowest rung in my household currently. Not in my parents' house, but in my house with my husband and my mother. However, ice fortresses are one thing, but try not to make them spiny, you know? Mine get real spiny sometimes. It depends on who's coming at me and who I'm protecting myself against. The worst that I can think of was once upon a time ago, there, oh my gosh, this is a long story. So I grew up in the Society of Creative Anachronism, right? And a fellow who has basically known me since I was a baby, he was giving me a back rub when I was in my 20s, and he got carried away. And I didn't, like, that was a line that was crossed that I didn't approve of. And his thoughts were, why can't we treat this like adults and pretend it never happened? And that doesn't make sense to me. Holding him accountable for crossing my boundary was really important to me at the time. And I told him, I'm cutting contact with you. I don't want to hear from you anymore. I am done with you. I'm done with you. And he was at a con running a table for a comic book that he was writing. And I was running an art table. And we were in the same artist alley. And he came to my table, and I basically gave him, I looked at him with daggers, and he was like, hold on, I have something important to say. And I was like, okay. He said, I found my roommate dead. And I laughed in his face. I told him, I'm sorry for your misfortune. And leave me alone. So that was probably the cruelest I've ever been. And the spiniest that I have ever been regarding like boundaries that I've set up that have been crossed. And I try to set up further boundaries. And if it's crossed again, I get spiny. Granted, that was when I was in my early 20s. And he's a guy that was easily twice my age. So, like, we've since made peace, like a decade and a half later, basically. He made a peace offering, and I had by then had basically come to the life choice of, if someone extends the olive branch, I have to accept it. So he extended an olive branch, and I accepted it, and now we're at least on speaking terms. Like, I can be in the same room with him without wanting to set him on fire. I simply vanish, yeah. But that's the thing. It's not that you were never there in the first place. It's that because you leave a mark on people, right? So it might be that you, like, those people had never meant anything to you, but you mean something to people, to other people, right? So beware with that. Beware. I pulled everything off the Kanban board. Cool. Looked at it for a moment to sort of reset my brain and bless it, and then put some of the stickies back for the items that need still to be done. Cool. Making new ones that are needed. I think the beginning of the month is a really great time to do that. Question is, do we wrap up now? I know we just had a couple of people like mill in, but I also need to make myself human. I have a bubble instead of an ice fortress, yeah. People bounce or glance off. I grew up with it, so it's hard for me to take down. I feel like I don't mean anything, or that I'm being used or straight up attacked. And that's when I pull away. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. And Nightbot is doing its hourly post dump. I just feel like an outsider and annoying. You are not annoying to me. I want you to know that, Katerina. You're not annoying to me. I value your presence in my life. I value your presence in my chat, in my DMs. I think you're a great person. I think I just hope that I don't. Sorry, my internet cut out for a second. I just hope you feel at home, like amongst our group, amongst, in my presence. I don't want you to feel like an outsider. Also, an apartment in the same building as his blew up. Oh, it took my husband 6 years to get me to admit I was in love with him. Oh. And also an apartment in the same building as his blew up. BookTube is amazing. Yeah. BookTube is... So AuthorTube is trying its best to be inclusive, especially after the whole thing with Cachet Warren and her group. So she left the community to kind of start her own community. I wore my man down. I feel the same in most. I thrive on the weird looks, and I go home and regret saying anything. Oh, I'm really sorry. I really enjoy talking with you. I think you're very optimistic and very sweet and very funny. Very funny. I don't want you to think that you have to curb what you say around me. You hate everything you say? How do you mean? I gotta use the restroom. I'm not taking you with me. I'm gonna plug you back in and then use the restroom. But we're gonna keep this. I keep jumping back onto BookTube content. Oh, I see. I think my leg is starting to feel better. Marissa Mulvey started the creator tube thing. I'll still very hipster bitter about it. Yeah, me too. Because I do that too, and I didn't think to make it a thing fast enough. Oh. So here's the thing about creator tube. All creators on YouTube are creators. All people on who do this sort of thing on YouTube are creators. So, hi, Mom. Plug you back in. Then we'll take a little break. Then we'll keep this talk going. All right, I will be right back. snowing. Wow. It's my dad being very excited about Buddhism. Yay, feeling better. I love this community so much. I've absolutely found my people here. I don't have to curb my enthusiasm around y'all because I know that we are all our own special sort of weird way. Absolutely. Wow, you guys were busy. Yay, snow, magic, boo, cold. We embrace the weird, absolutely. CreatorTube is basically everyone on YouTube. Yeah, that's how I feel. You guys get me, and I can be weird. I love you all. We love you too. From comedians to authors to singers, documentary makers, we are all CreatorTube. So the label doesn't make much sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me either. Weird is a good thing here. It's good to be strange self that you are. I saw and see it as an attempt to make a niche that's not a niche. Absolutely. We're advised constantly to pick up a topic and stick to it, not exclusively with our channels. And being creative is having the best of both worlds. So, like, AuthorTube is broad enough that I feel like a second niche kind of helps. My second niche is obviously witchcraft. That's horror and witchcraft. Like, that's just my thing. But I feel like, so I don't have a ton of people, but I feel like the people that subscribe to me are family that come to these chats, that come, you're kind of my chosen family. So don't, I hope I don't discourage you guys. I just watch who I like and I don't pay attention to the labels. Yeah, pretty much. Yep. But this platform I built around my pen name is for my writing, so I stick with the writer and reader content. Yeah. I love you as well, Turtle. I'm happy to know everyone here. But then I feel the need to pick a niche as a content creator, and then the rules changed and BreadTube got nasty. Oh, and I went back to trying to write novels. Well, I think this is a good time, but y'all have made me feel brave again. I feel like this is a really good time to come back to AuthorTube. Because post Cachet and Blind Mage and all of them being antagonistic towards my friends, I feel like there was a lot of us and them happening, and now that Cachet is no longer a factor. I mean, Cachet's not a bad person. She's not. But she can be two-faced in some ways. So, but she's very intelligent. She's very skilled. She's very sweet when she wants to be. But she was a negative influence on this neck of the woods. And when she left, I think we were all like determined to make this an inclusive place so that we're all on the same, level. We're all on the same field. Doesn't matter how many books you have out. Doesn't matter if you're unpublished. It doesn't matter if you've been on here for a month or for 7 years. None of that matters. It's just you're a person who is putting yourself out, and you're concentrating on writing books, and you're concentrating on reading books. And I think that's really beneficial to the community as a whole. if you feel brave enough to start creating videos, I will watch them. Simple as that. And I will try and comment. The way I feel about CreatorTube is as a collective. Yes, everyone that makes some kind of content is a creator, but I agree with Spence again. It brings the feeling of not being a specific content to stick for a channel. Support, yeah, the support is really great. Of not needing a specific, yeah. You do what makes you happy, Turtle. It's your channel, your platform, your decisions. There's a little bit of pressure, I think. Oh, my knee. My poor knee. My ligaments and my tendons are screaming at me. I think I might have torn my ACL. Or not tore, but pulled. I hope my dad's voice isn't super, super loud. It is soon a baseballs. When I saw the split, I really didn't know anyone, and I was wondering who was telling them what to do in the first place. No one can tell them what they can post. Not just that, but Cachet was kind of gatekeeping, writing about minorities. Like, in the sense that they were very... Sorry, it's distracting. I'm gonna try and move to the kitchen or back out to the garage, just because my dad is like shouting into his mic. Yeah, I think we're gonna go back outside. Let me grab a pack of cigarettes real quick. Oh, my leg feels so much better right now. I just need to stretch it out every once in a while, I think. If I don't stretch it out, it gets angry. Yeah. I think I just need to... Aw. Love you too, darling. Which, of course, you are always welcome to stream with me. I might do a stream today just because it's the first day, and I have some writing I want to get done. So if you are up for streaming today, I will gladly stream with you. Chosen family is a big thing in what I'm writing for this month. Oh, so cool that it came up. Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about chosen family and the idea that we are accepted for who we are and who we can be, right? Like, what happens when your imagination is actually cultivated rather than squashed, right? When your family or your normal friends kind of like don't appreciate you when you make a off-color joke, or they just view life in a different way that you view life, and they don't appreciate that you think differently, right? I appreciate that you all think differently, that you come from different perspectives, you come from different backgrounds, and we all have so much to learn from each other. Like, just because I'm the one that happens to be on screen right now is like completely, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not relevant. It's completely irrelevant. Like, I just happen to be the voice at the moment where I get to talk about like what I believe in. I get to talk about how I don't necessarily agree with these books. And I really enjoy people like Nicole and Turtle and Christine basically like popping up and saying how they either believe or don't believe in what's going on. Or they're like, hey, just because you don't subscribe to this doesn't make it any less relevant to those people, right? I don't understand it, but I don't think less of the people who do, if you get my meaning, right? Do you have enough amino acids that can make things worse? Oh, wait. I'm writing about minorities since I started, and I've not been excluded at all from the community, so I'm still genuinely confused about this whole thing, and I'm just, again, vanished. Yeah, you did. We miss you. Back to the gatekeeping sensitivity reader thing. I think the whole thing caused confusion and blurred lines of perspectives, at least for me. Yeah, me too. Oh. I started by watching BookTube. I didn't really know it was here till Savvy's channel came up. So Savvy was the first person to ever comment on one of my authortube videos. And from what I understand, she started basically about the same time I started. So it was really cool to like, I always feel like a kinship with people who basically dive into something the same time I dive into something. There's a it did cause a lot of confusion. I think like a lot of people jumped on poor Brooke because she was telling the story of a Black woman in the 20s who was the heroine of the story and wanted to talk about like what Black people were going through at the time, and also that sometimes it has nothing to do with what color you are. Like sometimes the struggles are real. Like whatever those struggles are real. And people jumped hard on Brooke. And so she abandoned Project New Orleans, which is kind of disheartening because I feel like she put so much tears and sweat into that story only to like abandon it because people jumped on her. And because she came to the conclusion that it wasn't her story to write. And I don't feel like it doesn't always have to be about racism. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always have to be about racism. Yeah. Yeah. And she came after BC in my book because we were going to talk about a Latina, like a teenage Mexican American who has an altercation with ICE agents. It's a thing, right? Now, it's not a sure thing every single time it happens, but it's something that needs to be addressed. And yeah, we're going to have sensitivity readers, doll being one of them, for, being of a culture that would understand being a person of color who is often persecuted for the color of their skin. We must exit the vampire castle. And a lot of minority baby writers too. If Brooke does the necessary research, interviewing people, extensive revisions, etc., she can write that. She could even co-author. That's my thought too. I think that's a conversation I kind of want to have with her, because I'm kind of disappointed that she had to leave the project behind. I'm glad she started a new one because she'd been working on that one for like 4 years. And going back and forth as to what tense, and I think it was a learning project is what it was that she was learning different formats and learning different tenses and learning what was the best way to tell the story. So she had this story, and that is basically why there are sensitivity readers. Absolutely. Just so that you know it's done right. Like, I don't want it to be, it's not a story about ICE going after this Latina. It's not a story about that. It's a facet that I think should be it's a facet that should be looked at. We currently have internment camps where families have been separated. It's internment camps full of children, Mexican American children, in Arizona and New Mexico. That's a thing in my country right now. Like, it makes me really mad. It breaks my heart that teenagers are taking care of infants, because infants are just thrown into the pit. And there are teenagers that are basically taking care of these babies so that they don't, because they can't fend for themselves. You can't just put a plate next to a baby and expect them to eat. Like, that's not how it fucking works. I could go on and on about like how fucked up my country is right now. I'm hoping that when Biden gets into office, like, internment camps become a thing of the past. For people who are writing out of their experience, but I want to bring something to light, and why couldn't I do that? Right? I feel like there's a relationship with, like, the Japanese internment with the modern internment, The difference being is that there was repercussions. There was like reimbursement for Japanese internment. I just found this out recently. There was actually reimbursement for Japanese internment. I'm running about chronic illness because I have a chronic illness, and unfortunately my characters are all going to be white. I totally thought as a kid, if we had something like Japanese internment, I would storm the internment camps, and I would be a little disappointed with myself, a lot of disappointment that I did not do that. I think because the promise of violence is so prominent right now. Like, these ICE agents they're violent. They're judgmental and they're violent, and they're aggressive. And it's hard to stand up for kids when you're faced with a gun. And not a small gun either. That's called research, exactly. Like, normally I wouldn't talk about a Latina, a Mexican American. I mean, I know quite a few, but BC knows it way better than I do. She's in fucking Arizona. She deals with illegal immigrants all the time. They're not fucking villains, right? Like, it's easier to commiserate when you're living with them. So I thought that Cash was coming after me for writing a Japanese American hero. And there are cultural decisions that he's going to make that have more to do with Japanese culture and less to do with American culture. And I understand these differences. Does she? I'm sorry. I'm not uncapping. Yeah. And BC's roommate is Latina. Well, Latinx. Absolutely. So research is really easy, right? And she's going to make a trip out with her husband out to LA to get a better feel for the landscape and the culture and stuff out there. She's already familiar with the city, so she's going to make another trip and take pictures for me and all of that stuff. So research is definitely going to be a thing. Really. Undertrained and trigger-happy nationalists. Yep. Very intentionally. So the same train of thought, women shouldn't write men and vice versa, which I think is bullshit. We write what we feel that need to be talked about. With the right research, we can make any character shine. Research is key. I write an Italian-American male. That's the main character of my Anchor series. He is Venetian American, and he speaks fluent Venetian. He speaks fluent American. He speaks a little bit of Italian because it's very, it's similar, but it's not the same. But I did a lot of homework on the language. I did a lot of homework on the culture. Like, what's his mother like? What kind of home did he grow up in? Um, what kind of upbringing would he have had, right? Both stateside and in Italy. I think are doing a disservice to minorities by gatekeeping who can write them. We need to make sure we research, but like, seriously, I believe we can write what we want, but with respect. It's cultural appropriation, like at its best. What's not cultural appropriation? Doing your goddamn homework. My response to this gatekeeping: surprise, I'm not Icelandic. But you know enough about the place and the culture and the language that you can write about the patriotism about Iceland without offending everybody. Right? Like, she who shall not be named had so much that she could have pulled from. And instead, she whitewashed everything and basically put a Brit in America who dealt with white Americans. I'm still mad about that. It's a fun story, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it was set wrong. A lot of my MCs have been male too. I think someone who gatekeeps has way too much time on their hands. Damn. I think to worry and too much worry about what others are doing. It's like the old lady with her nose into everything but her own business. It's Miss Grundle. It's like the old lady who's like, peering through her shears at other neighbors and judging how they get in their car or how they walk their dog. I always ask my friends in Iceland for a double check before I publish nonsense. So you have your sensitivity readers. You're doing your goddamn homework, right? You treat these cultures with respect. And I think that's like one thing I really admire about you is that you write the story that you feel the need to write. And you're really cerebral about it because you don't bank on visuals, you don't bank on descriptions, you bank on thought process, you bank on the viewpoint of the person. And there's an intense amount of research that you tend to do when it comes to that viewpoint. There's always going to be a reason that person reacts the way that they react, right? Danger, great example. I think it's a great example of how research was done for both characters, for all the characters, Harper Lee was from the South and had experiences there. She brought things to light that were happening. So what you guys mean when you say gatekeeping? Maybe it's the mediator in me, but my lack of specific insight here, but I'm confused where the line between challenging and stopping is. Gatekeeping is saying, you can't do that because of this. You can't do that because you're not that person. You can't possibly understand where they're coming from. That's making a lot of assumptions about a person. Maybe I'm considering gatekeeping in its most extreme, in telling no and having the power to enforce that no. Gatekeeping doesn't necessarily mean you have the power to enforce that no. Maybe that enforcement is cancel culture. I don't know. The line is homework. And Cash was assuming that people weren't doing their homework. That's what it all comes down to. And I think I kind of wish I had Brooke here. I would love to hear her side of the story. I don't think it had anything to do with Cash. I think it had to do with people in her streams and people who commented on her streams, basically saying, hey, you shouldn't be writing this story. And some baby writers have been pulled due to some issues with the sensitivity raters, and this was an NYT author who wrote an illegal immigrant novel who was just so not researched. The things seem to have deteriorated from there. Oh. Hi, Mom. That's up. Drinky bit? Drinky bit. So actually, you're a really good example of this. We're talking about gatekeeping when it comes to writing. The amount of research. Okay, so here's the story. My mother, for years and years and years, wrote from the perspective of an Apache. And the amount of homework that you did had people from the internet coming to her webpage for information. Mm-hmm. Other Apaches were subscribing to her page because of all the research she had did.
And they thought I was an Apache.
And they thought she was genuinely an Apache, and she's not. She's a German American.
Yeah. So yeah, I linked them over to a website with a guy that actually does
the research, right?
Does the research to connect Apaches.
Which is great. Like, I think being a chain link when it comes to uniting a tribe that has been split up over hundreds of years is like...
Yeah. But, you know, I
Did you have people coming to you saying, hey, you can't write that because you're not fucking Apache?
No. I admitted to them that I am not an Apache. I am playing one as a character, and it's part of my research for it. And I can commiserate with how you guys are feeling because, man, you guys got screwed. Because I looked a lot of shit up about all the executive orders, all the bad shit that happened with the, Bureau of Indian Affairs, all that crap, right?
Right.
And looking at the history of these tribes, right? And I came across this one guy because I was doing my research, right? And he actually contacted me.
Oh.
And I went, eh? No, I'm just doing research on Apaches. But if you want, I can use you as a link for people who've been contacting me
And he goes, that would be awesome. So I sent them the information, sent him that information, and I stepped out of that link and they did their connections.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I do. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And something that I've been kind of like diving into regarding superstition and witchcraft and all of that stuff is I'm looking more into the Visigoths and looking more into our family history and seeing where I can go with that, seeing like the Pennsylvania Dutch stuff with the hexes and the way they treat their animals and the way they treat food and how they treat death. And I find that regarding gods and spirits and stuff like that, stuff for Gaul is easier to find. But the Visigoths and the Gauls were like right next to each other, right? So like they were slightly different eras, but I figure if I look at Gaul, I can probably extrapolate what might have been for Visigoths.
Possibly, but you know, my family was Germanic Celt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different from Visigoth, because most of the Visigoths went into Spain.
So you are Germanic Celt.
Yeah.
Okay, so then like Carnoon, for instance, which is something that I was struggling with, is legit. So Destiny Bridwell here, she's Native American. And being Native American is hard at times. Like,
It is, because you're trying to maintain your culture, your beliefs, your society, and the government is hell-bent on taking that away.
The government is hell-bent on taking that away. And God forbid you be Native American and also like Mexican American. Or like descendant from Inca, descendant from Aztec, and or the natives that were in Mexico as well. They're fucking Native Americans in Southern America. Like,
yeah, they all lived in the jungle.
They all lived in the jungle.
Or in the mountains. Those Aztecs, man.
For real.
Sorry, Incans. Aztecs were north.
Cancel culture on the left is strangling a lot. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm really liking Hope's chest so far. Oh, wow. I'm so glad. That was also a concern. Yeah, you can flee if you like. Flee, run away. Well, Hope's chest was an exercise in Asian American culture. What happens when there is a GI father and a Vietnamese mother? What kind of person are they going to make? Especially, I mean, I know the DC area like the fucking back of my hand. And what kind of people live there, right? What the culture is like in the home and outside of the home. And I felt like I didn't need, and I have Native Americans and Pacific Islanders, and the only white person in the whole book is, no, there's two. There's Olivia, who has a bit part, and there's Veronica. Ronnie is white. Everybody else is a person of color. But you know what? It's not about what color they are. There's a blog post that I do where Adam Thundercloud actually talks about his real name and why he goes by Adam instead. And that'll be a blog post that'll come up in the near future. But that's like a thing that I did homework on, their naming practices and what kind of culture he comes from and why he does the things he does, the kind of magic that he does. Like, done so much research on my setting and the native mythos for years so that I represent it accurately. Because of that fact, I don't live in this country, but I have the ancestry from there. Yeah. My mom made a teaching video about Native American tribes. That's awesome. That was her grad student thesis. That's really cool. I would be interested in seeing that. I think the idea that so much research, yeah, no kidding. Incas lived around the Andean Mountains in Peru, Bolivia, etc. Mapuches lived further south in Chile and Argentina's Patagonia. I didn't know that. I have a friend who is, so her mother is Catalan and her father is half native, half El Salvadorian. So she bears some of the physical attributes of a Native American, right? But she still looks like super Hispanic because she's got that El Salvadorian coming from her father's side really strong. But she's got her mother's build. Her mother is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, but speaks broken English. She's super Hispanic. She's like Spain Spanish. Turtle, there's a link to my books in the self-promo section of the Discord. Yep. I have a hard time outright decrying cancel culture. I get in this argument with my best friend a lot in other places. I think cancel culture is kind of bullshit. But the idea, I mean, this has been a practice for hundreds of years. It just didn't get a name like cancel culture until recently. So the idea of turning your back on, not becoming antagonistic towards, that's different. But turning your back on someone because they crossed a line or whatever, which is something that happens in BookTube a lot, from what I understand. I almost got in my first Twitter fight because someone was criticizing a particular YouTuber for pulling a video because he said in a word in story someone sent him that he didn't know was offensive. Oh, like the word gypsy? Yeah, it's offensive. It's a derogatory term. And a lot of people use gypsy and Romani and similar cultures interchangeably, and that's fucked up. I don't like the term bohemian either. Hipster, I think the style is very hipster, but it's very, because even Romani design isn't like that. what people call gypsy these days, or bohemian. It's its own beast. It's a well-traveled beast, but it's not. I have not been to bed yet. I'm falling asleep here at the keyboard. I only made it to 3K, so I'm going to take a nap and get up and try and write the other 7K. Get some rest, Destiny. Take 2 hours is a REM cycle. An hour and a half, technically. But try and give yourself at least an hour and a half. Yay, you're on Discord now. Someone pointed out the word he used derogatory, and he decided he didn't want the word on his channel. And this one guy was very harsh on him for it. That's kind of messed up. I think it was smart of him to have taken it down. And I think it was kind of bullshit that people attacked him for it. Same name, turtle that is red. But my picture is me in a crazy Christmas outfit. All right, let me look at you. Yay! Yay! Also, that is a crazy Christmas outfit. I love it. Good stuff. I have so many windows open. Why do I have so many windows open? He doesn't know what tribe his grandfather's grandfather was from, though. Yeah. El Salvador is close to Guatemala, so lots of Quechua, Mayan, and Aztecs, all in their respective time periods. I couldn't see the difference between the person criticizing him for publicizing the word and the person criticizing him for pulling the word. Yeah. Latin American geography and such call me. Oh, great. Yeah, that's great. We're going to be exploring and skirting the line between Mexico and the U.S. So I might call on you for some of her father, for instance, would be South American. There we go, South American. Now, whether he's Mexican has not been determined. He just happens to be in Mexico. He just happens to be up from Mexico. Me too, boo. Cancel culture, yay, empathy, and ignoring stupid people. It's not authentic Romani designs. It's not. I love Romani design, I do. And Romani dance is so complicated. It's all 9/12. I came across clutter culture and is a good replacement for bohemian or gypsy. Yeah. Clutter culture. I will decry bad faith criticism for as long as I live, which is where I think of most of these problems actually stem from. Love you, creative and wonderful people. Have a great day, and I will see you soon. Sleep sweet, Destiny. I think the word like gypsy maybe could be used as long as you put in dialogue or narrative that explains it's not a nice term. Yes. Not a nice term is a gross understatement. I think you could probably bring that to light in a story. Like someone is Romani, for instance, and someone calls him a gypsy, and he corrects them. That could be done. November 7th is the call, but I might head home before then if I can figure out how to pack my shit. All right, talk to you later, darling. Oh, that's awesome. I'm doing more and more homework on the Russian steppes and Romania and the Romani that traveled around. And the kind of dances that they did, the kind of textiles they use, the kind of culture that they have. I'm very interested in all of that. Well, it's noon, and I feel like Sage's party for their book release and birthday is going to be on in an hour. So I'm going to probably put on a face of makeup, and I will see you guys then. Thanks so much for joining me today for this important talk, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Bye.